Have you ever felt the weight of something you can no longer hold, but cannot seem to put down? A ghost from your past, perhaps. The sharp sting of a betrayal, the dull ache of a regret, or the lingering echo of a harsh word. We carry these burdens like invisible anchors, dragging them through the currents of our daily lives, wondering why we feel so heavy, so tired, so tethered to a place we desperately wish to leave behind. We tell ourselves to let it go, to move on, but these words often feel hollow, like instructions for a machine whose manual we have lost. The truth is, letting go is not a simple command. It is an art. It is a practice. And for centuries, the Stoic philosophers have served as its greatest masters. Welcome to the Stoic Art of Letting Go, a guide to detaching from the very things that seek to destroy you. This is not about becoming cold or unfeeling. It is not about suppressing your emotions or pretending that pain does not exist. On the contrary, it is about engaging with life so fully, so wisely, that the things that once had the power to break you begin to lose their grip. It is about reclaiming your inner citadel, that fortress of the mind where you, and you alone, are sovereign. First, we must understand what it is we cling to. We are creatures of attachment. We attach to outcomes, to people, to memories, and most dangerously, to our own expectations. We cling to the ghost of who we used to be, or the fantasy of who we think we should be. We chain ourselves to past failures, replaying them in our minds like a broken film, each viewing reinforcing the narrative that we are not good enough. We anchor ourselves to the opinions of others, outsourcing our self-worth to a jury that is fickle, distracted, and often not even paying attention. We attach ourselves to a specific vision of the future, believing that our happiness is located at a destination we have not yet reached. When reality inevitably deviates from this blueprint, we feel shattered, lost, and betrayed by life itself. The Stoics recognized this human tendency with piercing clarity. They saw that our suffering comes not from the events in our lives, but from our judgment about those events. The ancient philosopher Epictetus laid down the foundational principle, the master key to unlocking this entire art form, the dichotomy of control. He stated, simply, some things are up to us, and some things are not. It sounds deceptively simple, yet within this sentence lies the blueprint for liberation. What is up to us? Our thoughts, our judgments, our choices, our responses. Our character. What is not up to us? Everything else. The weather, the economy, the traffic, what other people think, say, or do. Our past is not up to us. The ultimate outcome of our efforts is not truly up to us. The destructive habit we must let go of is the relentless effort to control the uncontrollable. Imagine standing on a shore, screaming at the tide not to come in. Imagine trying to hold back the wind with your bare hands. It is an exhausting, futile, and maddening exercise. Yet, this is precisely what we do when we ruminate on a past mistake, when we obsess over a perceived slight, when we are consumed with anxiety about a future event. We are fighting the tide. The Stoic, however, does not fight the tide. The Stoic learns to build a better boat. The Stoic focuses not on the storm, but on their skill as a sailor. Letting go, then, begins with a radical act of triage. With every anxious thought, with every wave of anger or regret, we must ask ourselves this powerful question: is this within my control? Is the comment someone made about you at work within your control? No. But your response to it is. Is the fact that you made a poor investment in the past within your control? No, it is done. But the lessons you learn from it and the financial decisions you make today are. This constant, gentle sorting of what is yours to hold and what is not, is the first and most crucial step. You begin to realize how much energy you have been wasting. You start to drop the heavy stones that were never yours to carry in the first place. But what of the things that have already happened? The deep wounds, the profound losses. The Stoics offered a concept that is as challenging as it is healing, Amor Fati. The love of one's fate. This is not a passive resignation. It is an active, courageous embrace of all that life presents. The Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius, who faced plague, war, and personal betrayal, wrote in his private meditations, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." He was practicing Amor Fati. He was choosing to see every obstacle not as a barrier to his path, but as the path itself. To let go of a painful past is to cease wishing it were different. To love your fate is to understand that the person you are today was forged in the fires of that exact past. Every mistake was a lesson. Every heartbreak carved out a space for greater compassion. Every failure taught you resilience. You would not be you without it. Letting go is not about erasing the memory, it is about changing your relationship with it. It is to look back at the winding, difficult road that brought you here and say, "Thank you. You were my teacher." This transforms poison into medicine. It reframes your story from one of victimhood to one of profound, unbreakable strength. You stop fighting your own history and instead integrate it into the rich tapestry of your character. To help with this grand perspective shift, the Stoics employed a powerful visualization exercise, the view from above. I invite you to try it now, in your mind's eye. Imagine yourself floating up, out of the room you are in. See the building, the street, the town or city below. Float higher, until you see the contours of the country, the patchwork of fields and forests, the glimmering coastlines. Higher still, until the earth is a beautiful, marbled sphere suspended in the velvet blackness of space. See the moon, the sun, the other planets in their silent, cosmic dance. Go further, until our solar system is a tiny speck of light, and our galaxy, the Milky Way, is but one of 100 billion other galaxies, each containing 100 billion other suns. Now, from this vast, silent, and eternal vantage point, try to locate your problem. Try to find the anger you feel towards a certain person. Try to see the anxiety you have about next week's meeting. They vanish. They become so infinitesimally small as to be almost meaningless. This is not to say your feelings are invalid. They are real. But this exercise reveals their true scale. We are so often trapped in the microscope of our own lives, where every tiny flaw looks like a monstrous canyon. The view from above is the telescope that reminds us of the universe's immense, breathtaking scope. It detaches us from the fierce, emotional grip of the immediate and connects us to something larger, more timeless. Practice this, and you will find that the things which once consumed you barely register on the cosmic map. Yet, we are human. We fear loss. We fear pain. The Stoics knew this, and they did not advocate for ignoring these fears, but for confronting them with a technique known as premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils. This might sound morbid, but its purpose is profoundly life-affirming. Each morning, you take a moment to contemplate the things you could lose. You might imagine losing your job. You might imagine a cherished relationship ending. You might even, as Seneca advised, contemplate your own mortality. The point is not to dwell in a state of misery, but to achieve two things. Firstly, to strip these events of their power to shock you. By rehearsing adversity in your mind, you build a psychological resilience. If the worst does happen, you have, in a sense, been there before. It will not paralyze you. Secondly, and more importantly, it cultivates a deep and vibrant gratitude for what you have right now. After contemplating the loss of a loved one, the next conversation you have with them is imbued with more presence, more kindness. After imagining the loss of your home, the simple comfort of your favorite chair feels like an incredible luxury. This practice allows you to let go of your complacent attachment to the present, and instead, to truly honor it, to love it, knowing it is transient. You stop taking life for granted. This brings us to the ultimate tool for letting go, memento mori. Remember you will die. In our modern culture, we do everything we can to forget this fact. We hide it away, we speak of it in whispers. The Stoics placed it front and center. They saw it not as a source of dread, but as the ultimate source of meaning and clarification. Knowing that your time is finite is the most powerful filter for your priorities. When you are holding on to a grudge, ask yourself, on my deathbed, will I be glad I spent so much of my precious, limited energy nursing this bitterness? When you are consumed by anxiety over what others think of you, ask yourself, in my final moments, will the opinions of these people matter more than whether I lived authentically and bravely? The answer is always, unequivocally, no. Memento mori slices through the trivialities. It incinerates petty grievances. It forces you to let go of everything that is not essential. It is the ultimate call to action, urging you to live, to love, to create, and to be, right now, because now is the only time you are guaranteed. So, how do we weave these ancient arts into the fabric of our modern lives? It begins with a daily practice. It is not enough to simply understand these ideas, they must be lived. Start a journal. Each evening, write down the events of the day and analyze them through a Stoic lens. Where did you get upset? Was the cause in your control, or outside of it? How could you have responded with more wisdom and virtue? This is not about self-criticism, it is about self-coaching. You become the architect of your own inner peace. Practice the pause. The space between a trigger and your reaction is where your freedom lies. When you feel that familiar surge of anger, or that cold dread of anxiety, do not react immediately. Pause. Breathe. Ask yourself, what would a Stoic do? Choose your response, rather than letting an old, destructive habit choose for you. With each conscious pause, you weaken the chains of your conditioning. And finally, practice forgiveness, not as a gift to others, but as an act of liberation for yourself. To hold a grudge is to let someone else live rent-free in your head. It is you who drinks the poison. To let go of that resentment is to reclaim your mental real estate. It is to declare that your peace is more important than their transgression. It is the final, decisive act of dropping the anchor and allowing your ship to sail free. The Stoic art of letting go is a lifelong journey, not a destination. There will be days when the old habits resurface, when the ghosts of yesterday knock at your door once more. This is part of the practice. On those days, be kind to yourself. Acknowledge the feeling without judgment, and gently reapply the principles. Sort what is in your control from what is not. Take the view from above. Remember your mortality. Letting go is the ultimate expression of strength. It is the quiet, dignified recognition that you cannot control the world outside, but you can, and you must, master the world within. It is the understanding that true freedom is not found in having everything you want, but in wanting nothing that is not yours to have. It is the slow, deliberate, and beautiful process of putting down the heavy burdens you were never meant to carry, and walking on, lighter, freer, and finally, at peace. The chains are not real. The cage is not locked. The key has been in your pocket all along. All you have to do is choose to use it.